Grace and peace to you. Friends, my plan for today was to go outside, to take the gubbins I used to record and head into the garden and the parks of the village. But it's raining. I've had to accept that either the equipment and I would get soaked and maybe stop working, or that I'd have to record here in the study. So in a peak of common sense, here I am inside. I've accepted that this week's recording isn't going to be out with the bird song, but with that notion of acceptance and accepting, I want to ask you a question. What does acceptance mean to you? I don't mean acceptance like accepting you've got to see another wall of my study. I'm talking about acceptance in a wider sense, about acceptance of you as a person. What does it mean to you to be accepted? If you were hungry and somebody said to you that you were most welcome, but they didn't feed you, would you feel accepted? If you were hurting and somebody said to you that you were most welcome and they didn't do what they could to ease your pain, would you feel accepted? If you came with words of peace, words that speak of countercultural inclusion, and words that speak of love, but those who heard you spoke of those things, but still advocated for the selling of arms, still told others they didn't belong, and still didn't act with generous love, would you feel accepted? In today's reading, Jesus talks about welcome. A welcome that has been part of his society for thousands of years. And as we think about that, as we think about welcome today, it's quite challenging. Not least because of the situation with COVID-19 and the fact that we cannot welcome people in the way that we normally would. We no longer invite folk in for cups of tea or coffee that last all morning. We no longer invite people in for a glass of wine that lasts all night. We no longer greet people with the shake of a hand or an invite to a communal setting. Those days will come back when we can safely do it, but they're not of now. So what is welcome? What is acceptance? The mechanics of welcome mid-COVID are different to what they were before, and post-COVID they will change again. So as we think about welcome, as we think about acceptance, let's hear what Jesus has to say from the Bible.
This morning's reading is from Matthew chapter 10, reading at verse 40 to 42. Anyone who welcomes you welcomes me, and anyone who welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet as a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever welcomes a righteous person as a righteous person will receive a righteous person's reward. And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones who is my disciple, truly, I tell you, that person will certainly not lose their reward. Amen. This is the word of the Lord.
Thank you, Linda. A short and simple passage about welcome, but one that asks us to take small steps, all the while walking in step with something that is enormous. When Jesus says, "Whoever welcomes you welcomes me," we hear the general idea that was ingrained in the cultural context of the ancient Near East, that if a teacher's disciple is welcomed, then the thoughts and ideas of that teacher are welcomed. So far, so simple. It's a way of seeing the world where everyone is connected, and they are aware of the networks and friends and neighborhood that tied everyone together. The context that Jesus was speaking within talks of that welcome. But that welcome at that time was really for those like you and whom you might benefit from knowing. But Jesus changed that. Jesus spoke of words of inclusion and a more radical welcome. Networks of friends and neighbours are still crucial, and we still culturally welcome those we know and love and to whom we are connected. We do it in our homes, but more and more we do it across social networks. However, we are still careful about welcoming those who are different, those we don't know, those who we don't culturally or linguistically understand. As Jesus speaks, he talks of prophets and the righteous, and tells us that in welcoming them, we will get something back from that person. But if we welcome the little ones, we receive something more than an earthly return. As we offer welcome, we are honouring and respecting the person we welcome. And a true welcome doesn't ask somebody to conform. It sees the person as a whole and acknowledges that they come as they are. So when we welcome the little ones, the ones who society ignores or rejects, we are honouring them and seeing them as whole people who come as they are. Not children who will one day become part of the church, but young people who are part of it now. Not as people different to you, but as humans made in the image of God who add to the richness of society and community. As with a lot of what Jesus says and does, this is both significant and political. Jesus is saying, if you welcome me, you welcome the small and the weak, the outsider and the different. If you don't welcome them, then you don't welcome me. This is particularly powerful because as we look through the four Gospels, we can see that Jesus did not keep traditionally good company, and is therefore using this deep sense of cultural welcome and saying that everyone is to be welcomed and that everyone is to be included. There is real challenge at the heart of what Jesus is asking of us here. It's the sort of challenge that with a lifetime of work, you'll never get it perfect. But we are also given an easy way to start living out this welcome. If you give a glass of water to those who are thirsty, then you are doing what is asked. The simplicity is in seeing the humanity of those who society rejects. The simplicity is in lifting our voices with those who are systematically undermined in life. The simplicity is in speaking out with the refugee and offering the cool drink of refuge. The simplicity is in remembering the prisoner and reminding people of their humanity. The simplicity is to look at those who are different to you and recognize their humanity. Those with different colored skin, who have a different education, who look to God in different ways, who were born in a different country. The simplicity of this welcome is to see all who are different to you in any or every way and recognize the fullness of their humanity, that they are made in the image of God. You are asked to recognize their humanity as being equal to yours, and to offer them whatever will quench their thirst, with all the readiness you would wish your own thirst to be quenched. When you recognized somebody's humanity, you will welcome them. When we all recognize everyone's humanity, we will truly live out that everyone is welcome. A question to ask yourself this week is not about the situations where you already give the cool drinks of water, but asking yourself about where you don't. These kinds of questions are difficult, but each of us need to ask them of ourselves, because no one of us is getting it completely right. What situations do you see, either locally or across the world, where you wish people would just be quiet or go away? Especially when they're asking for sanctuary, safety, or for the status quo to be made better. I encourage you to ask yourself the question, why don't you want to listen to the cries for water from someone whose thirsts in life are different to yours? And then, in the midst of that challenge, assure yourself that offering something simple is a commendable, important, and heaven-sent start. If you want to sing this week, hymn 198, "Let us build a house where love can dwell," is a good song to sing. And as you pray this week, pray for the thirsty, those in the world who literally thirst for water, who walk miles each day to get water that may or may not be completely potable. And pray for yourself and those around the world who are challenged by what they see and the need to share literal and metaphorical water. Where you see the thirsty, offer a drink of water. Where you see the hungry, offer a bite to eat. And the blessing of God the Father, who fills the well, God the Son, who invites you to drink, and God the Holy Spirit, who fills you with living water, be with you this day and all days. Amen.